Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Josh's vlog. And we started his training week off with a floor press, and keeping in mind everything he does right now is close grip. Again, due to shoulders and elbows and things being a bit beat up from his competitions. He had a competition in the middle of this training week, so the week got spread way out. So we ended up doing even his deadlift. He's like, I stopped at 160 kg. It felt good, felt explosive, but I didn't want to overdo it because I had a tournament coming up. So he did that, and then he did his speed work, a couple days after he finished, over the next couple days. But we did have this training week got spread out close to 2 weeks as a result of that. But, that's okay. It's something I point out with guys like this who fight. If things go great, we get 4 workouts in a week. Usually we get 3. So it ends up getting spaced out. In some cases, his 4-day conjugate max effort dynamic effort split gets spread out all the way across 2 weeks. But as long as we do it in order, he's not really detraining, we're good. And he has been extremely happy. And some people who've seen on social media put up his comments. He feels stronger, more explosive, and in shape when he gets on the mat. And I think that's the important thing to remember with lifters like this, right? He lifts to get better at his sport, okay? But interestingly enough, that means we run Conjugate because I find Conjugate builds better athletes, not just better power lifters. And I'll get people who occasionally argue and say, well, maybe they should have more specificity. I'm like, but Conjugate has produced hundreds of world records in powerlifting. So you're really going to make that argument. I mean, if we talk about specific systems, not individual, just variables that people are doing, but specific training systems, it's produced more world record holding powerlifters than any other system. So, again, that's kind of a bad argument. But his upper day is pretty straightforward. Dumbbell presses, inverted rows. We usually do like some upright rows with dumbbells, and then he does a lot of band press downs for his triceps. All right, lower days, max effort, we did just a conventional deadlift this week. Nothing special. We kept it very, very simple because we still do the classic lifts for him. We still max on him. After that, he did good mornings, right? And I really only do about 3, outside of having him do some extra ab exercises. We really only do about 3 movements on his lower days for the most part after the main work, the max work and the speed work. At the moment, they are good mornings, right, which you guys see here. And he just got a safety squat bar later in this training week. So we may start doing the good mornings with that some also. But they're good mornings. I have him do goblet squats at the moment and glute ham raises. So the reason for these particular movements, you have to look at the stimulus fatigue. Notice there's also obviously a posterior chain dominant training. In other words, we have 2 exercises that hit the posterior chain, one that hits the quads, in the interior part of the legs. Not that there isn't a little bit of splash over, but it's very, very little. But this is enough, between this and the speed squats, his quads will grow. And I think everyone overemphasizes how much volume they need to grow. And I don't mean maximizing hypertrophy. I'm talking about getting any muscle growth at all. People way overestimate it. If you're doing a lot of volume, though, and you're not seeing any muscle growth, there's something definitely wrong with your training. Because I'm going to be honest, 5 hard sets a week, if you're not seeing any muscle growth from that over a period of time, something is very, very wrong. Okay, that really is the sort of minimum volumes that we know from research produces some progress. So context there. We start going above 10, we're not chasing some growth, we're chasing maximum every last percent of muscle growth. There's a big difference there. All right. Speed bench. He just does it against bands, does his close grip work. Pretty straightforward. Then he does his inverted rows. All right, do inverted rows. A lot of times we're doing dumbbell bench there also. I didn't see the clip get sent through this time, but we do dumbbell bench. We'll do inverted rows. We do dumbbell upright rows. right? Although I don't always even have him do some of the sheets. I don't even have him do a secondary press. The speed bench can be enough. Again, looking at someone whose recovery is used up rolling for a couple hours a day. He is practicing BJJ up to 6 times a week, right? He's competing regularly all throughout the year. So he has limited recovery. So, we have to look at that and say, is that enough to see any chest growth? We have a speed bench day with speed benching. We have a max day where we do a max and we do some dumbbell presses. Is that enough to see growth? The answer is yes. Of course, we always throw in the extra band tricep work. Not only will it help his triceps, but it helps with his elbow health, because we do have a history there of that being a problem. It's historically a problem, just like his knees. Another reason, again, we do mostly the box squatting, for speed work, and then we do the goblet squats. Again, looking at knee health, looking at stuff like, can we strengthen his patellar tendons? But then the focus is always going to be posterior chain, because he needs it, both for knee health, as well as being more athletic. So dynamic effort lower days, now that he's got the safety bar, he asked me, can he use it? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. He only sent me the one set of the speed squats. He said these didn't look as good with this new bar, but they got better. I just didn't record the later sets. And I'll accept that. I think we saw plenty of speed there. It's good and explosive. All right, speed pulls. I just have him do conventional speed pulls. He doesn't really have band peg. It's a little bit of a hassle to set up bands here, although I could have him do it in the rack, right, if he has the pins to do it over there. At least that rack that was in front of him right there, it's got holes down the side, down low. Could probably pull that off if we had to. Of course, then we do our standard movements after that. We do good mornings. We'll do some goblet squats, and we'll do glute ham raises. So again, the good mornings, hip extension, right? This is a nice full body exercise that trains enormous amount of hip extension. It puts a myotatic reflex or a stretch reflex on the hamstrings, because again, he's got a lot of knee pain from what he does. We have to keep that knee joint stable. So that means the hamstrings need an extra focus. And in this case, because we pair that with a glute ham raise, we get 2 dramatically different training movements, and in terms of even functions of the hamstring being utilized here. So again, we're maximizing hamstring development, because that becomes very critical for contact sport athletes, particularly ones who have had a history of knee pain. Okay, so in other words, we're making sure those hamstrings are maximally developed. And then here's another little clip of the deadlift that he pulled again. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.